Today, we're making a version of salsa verde, sometimes known as salsa verde cocida. Cocida means cooked, and to make this salsa, we'll be cooking our tomatillos in boiling salted water. This is my dad's favorite version of salsa, and since he likes things really spicy, we'll be making this one extra picante. If spicy isn't your thing, don't worry, you could definitely sub in some milder chiles as you cook yours. Enough said, let's get cooking. To make our salsa, we're going to start with dried peppers. This can get as hot as we'd like it, and we're going to make sure this one's pretty hot. So to an ungreased hot pan, I'm going to add just a few dried peppers. That is an habanero. I'm just pulling the stem off of each one so we don't wind up grinding that up. This is a ghost pepper. This might not look like a lot, but it's gonna go a long way. And we'll finish off the trio with a Carolina Reaper. These are all peppers that I've grown, dried, and saved for a rainy, or in the case of today, sunny day. So these are gonna sit in my dry pan for just maybe a minute at the most, just to bloom the flavor. All right, so let me set that back down on the stove. I'll get my peppers out of the way. And meanwhile, I have gotten my other ingredients ready. We have a small pot of water. I brought it to a boil. It's salted generously, and I brought it to a boil, and it's simmering and waiting for us. 4 or 5 tomatillos, maybe about a half of a small to medium onion, just cut into a couple of chunks, and 2 or 3 cloves of garlic. And that's all that's going to go into this. Again, the heat from the peppers is all in these dried peppers, and we're gonna give those a few more seconds. And once they are, we're just warming them to bring the flavors out. They've been lurking in the pantry for a good few months, so we want to really bring that flavor forward. And then those are going to go into the blender, and we're just going to grind those up. And they don't have to be a fine powder, but just ground up until they're pretty small pieces. Okay, somewhere between a powder and pepper flake consistency. Have probably had enough time. Into the blender they go, and while we blend those, we are going to shift our water to this front burner. Keep that boiling. And we'll add carefully, because this is some hot water, our tomatillos, our onion chunks, and our garlic. And we're just going to let that simmer for about 5 minutes. Plenty of time to grind our peppers and be ready for our next step. Our tomatillos and onion and garlic have been on the go for about 5 minutes. We can see that the color of the tomatillos is now not so bright green. That's a good indicator. We don't want them to explode or turn into slush. We just need them a bit cooked, as the name of the salsa suggests. We ground up our pepper, and careful when you lift the lid, because this is a strong smell that you may be able to see way down in there. That little bit of ground pepper looks like ground pepper flakes that you'd buy at the grocery store, but it's a lot hotter. This water was salted. I'm gonna go ahead and add a few sprinkles of salt to the blender jar as well. And then we will carefully take our onion and tomatillos and garlic and put them in here. And again, if you're using very hot pepper that you just freshly ground, that stuff is fragrant. And as you put the temperature hot vegetables into the blender jar, you will get a face full of very spicy steam. Be prepared. I'm not saying it's a bad thing, but it's a thing. All right, here we go. Now we'll add just a little bit of that cooking water to the blender jar as well. We're really just looking for enough to make it go around nice and easy. There we go. That should do the trick. And do be careful when you are blending something that's temperature hot. Don't fill your blender jar really much more than halfway, because that stuff's going to expand. Keep your hand on top of the jar. Otherwise, you're going to have salsa on your ceiling. All right, here we go. And that, my friends, is it. We are going to transfer this to a jar, let it cool all the way, and then we're going to give it a taste. Our salsa has cooled, and as it cooled, it took on a bit more of a brownish green color thanks to the dried chiles we used to season it. We can compare that to the sister Salsa Verde recipe also on the channel, which uses fresh cilantro and freshly roasted jalapenos to give it a bit of a brighter color. We're going to give this one a taste. Yep, that's got a kick to it for sure. We hope you give this a try, this one too. Decide which one is your favorite and check back every Friday at 4 o'clock for a new recipe.